Hello and welcome to another Pauper gameplay video by Ready Made Gaming. Today I am joined by Jim. Jim will be playing Elves. I'm on green-white Hexproof, or Boggles, or Auras, or whatever you want to call this deck. Green-white, make a dude, slap a bunch of crap on him, hope he gets there. Jim is on a classic Elf start with Broccoli Elf. I will start with a Forest of my own, and a Utopia Sprawl naming white. So both of these decks are pretty sequencing intensive. Generally, if you make a mistake with Elves, you lose out on mana, and that can put you a half a turn or a whole turn behind. And with Auras, you want to pretty much just make sure you're doing the maximum amount of damage each turn. I generally like leading with Utopia Sprawls. It's almost like you get one free mana every turn after that. Here I play the Baron more, or the Ash Barons, to play the Core Skyfisher floating a green, bouncing the Ash Barons, and cast a Rancor on my Core Skyfisher. So Core Skyfisher is just a value card in this deck. A lot of times when I've played Pauper, I've been hit with main board either Suffocating Fumes or Edict effects when playing Boggles, so I've tried to incorporate more value. And Core Skyfisher does that, allowing you to replay stuff like Abundant Growth or Cartouche to make extra free guys to sacrifice to Diabolic Intent or Edict. Yeah, definitely not Diabolic Intent, that card's definitely not a common. So I just took 7 off a Timberwatch Elf. I chose not to block. Probably dead next turn. This is kind of a slow hand, and Jim got to play 1 mana worth of spells on turn 1 and 4 mana worth of spells on turn 2. And I guess 3 mana worth of spells on turn 3. All while never having more than 1 Broccoli on his battlefield. So Elves are doing Elves things here, and Boggles are kind of drawing a little... one of our slower hands. It's debatable whether or not I should have cycled the Ash Barons on my first turn instead of enchanting my Skyfisher with Rancor. The reason behind that would be I wouldn't have to spend a mana this turn, and I would have another aura in my hand. Generally, you don't want to put auras on creatures that don't have the Hexproof keyword, but in this matchup, it doesn't really matter. Functionally, all my creatures have Hexproof because none of his creatures target anything in my deck. At least not game 1. Game 2, he could have Gleeful Sabotage. He could have, I don't know, some red spell that deals damage to flyers. Maybe you could have Crushing Vines or whatever that card is. Destroy target flyer, enchantment or artifact. So it's a disenchant with upside for 3 mana. So I'm going to block one of the Nettle Sentinels coming in. I'm basically willing to sacrifice my Core Skyfisher for some damage in this case. It's pretty clear to anybody who follows the format that I either have nothing and I'm dead, or I have Crash Through. And because Jim elected to use his Timberwatch Elf effect on the Nettle Sentinel that was blocked, I know that I'm not dead this turn. So the most I take is 7 or something like that, and that's fine. Now, if he did it the other way, I would lose. If he went in for however much damage and then did it again, he could have potentially had lethal there, but the ram through was pretty clearly advertised. So Jim hasn't made a land drop here. He can play his Broccoli. Eat your vegetables. Wish people well, that type of thing, I don't have any puns for Nettle Sentinel. If anybody has any puns for Nettle Sentinel, please drop them in the comments. I'd be happy to torture Joe with them. Here's another Utopia Sprawl. I'm dead here. I am very dead here. I mean, getting rid of the Timberwatch Elf was good, sure, but now any combination of 5 unblocked elves means that I have 0 life points. Generally speaking, if you have 0 life points, it's tough to win. It's tough to win. Just organize my battlefield a little bit with this here Core Skyfisher, Bouncy Utopia Sprawl, put it somewhere else. No effect, no value. We're dead. Pick them up. Go to sideboarding here. I'm going to bring out some Skyfishers. It's not a value matchup for removal spells in the form of Gutshot and Electrickery. Jim's going to cut Lissalana Huntmaster, I think that is. That's the 4-drop. For 2 Gleeful Sabotage and a Moment's Peace. And then he's going to mulligan his sideboard card to the bottom. I'll keep a 7. This is a good 7. I'm on the play here. We have ramp. Oh, no, apparently I'm on 6. Okay. Excuse the yawn there. How wildly unprofessional. Yeah. So we're going to lead on Utopia Sprawl. It depends on the texture of the hand if I will lead on Slippery Boggle or another 1-mana Hexproof creature or the ramp spell. Generally, I like leaning on the ramp spell. Again, it's like compounding mana over the number of turns you get to play. But in this case, I let a white mana go to waste, and that's not great. Little camera adjustment there. Get a good look at Jim's broccoli. And you know what I said. It's very possible that I was just trying to hit a nut draw and use all that mana on like a cartouche or something along those lines. There's an Armadillo Cloak. That's a pretty good card. Tap your other mana, Sean. Oh, we're rethinking it. We did the math. There we go. So the Armadillo Cloak would have left my little Boggle there, slippery as he is, with only 3 toughness, which is the exact amount of power my good friend Jim on the other side of the battlefield had. So I decided to cheat and not do that and play an Ancestral Mask instead, which boosts the toughness of my fellow man there to 5, so I can safely get in there. So it looks like we punch for 7. There's no blocks. Jim's trying to consider his way out of this. Definitely starts with Gleeful Sabotage, for sure. There's a glare spot over there. I think we correct that at some point during the game. A couple Nettle Sentinels and a Birchlore Ranger. Possibly missed sequence there. Maybe gave up mana, but looks like he's got 1 card in hand. And, I mean, if he really needed to, he could make 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 mana. 2 of it could be any color. There's another Quirion, so it doesn't matter. Coming in for 3. If they're not blocking, they may as well be attacking. Yeah, that's a skill that I don't think a lot of players have mastered, or enough players have mastered. Just like getting your free points in when they're there. And here's a 15 power trample lifelink, slippery boggle, more like beefy boggle. There's the block, a couple nettles, and a Quirion, a redundant Quirion Ranger. So there's a Distant Melody off the top, exactly where you want that card most of the time. Looks like we'll be floating 2 green here. So if we get, I guess if we get the other copy of Gleeful Sabotage or a Moment's Peace, we could be in good shape. He's got 2 in his pool now, 2 green in his pool, with the ability to untap his priest. So there's a lead. Still leaving 2 up. So Jim can make a lot of mana here, but the issue is, can he block the 15 power fella? No, he can't. Okay, so he's going to pick him up. We're going to go to game 3 now. This one's in extra fast because this game goes extra long. We're going to lead on an elf. I'm down to 5. Jim's going to lead the Stampede for 5. My opening hand was Plains, Force, Boggle, Rancor. That was my 5th going down to 5 mulligan. Not 5th mulligan, but that's a mulligan that I go down to 5 on. So had to keep it, I think. There's no nut of opening Blossoming Sands, Rancor, Cartouche, Slippery Boggle, and just being able to play all the cards on 1 land. So And this game is basically garbage time from the word go. Mulliganing down to 4, having 60% of your cards in hand be lands. The crash through is actually not bad here. It fights over the summoning sick Timberwatch Elf, so it definitely catches it in the window that it's able to. So Jim's going to make a bunch of mana. There's a Well-Wisher. There's a Well-Wisher. That's not good for us. That is absolutely not good for us. Up. There's a lead for nothing. 3 forests and a island and a distant melody. All right, Jim's going to get in for his free points. Leaving that Nettle in the back to block. Maybe I should have attacked here with the Boggle, knowing that it would have taken out at least one Well-Wisher in the Nettle. But I can't win without a Hexproof guy, and yeah. Okay, so Jim's going to be up to 30-something at the end of this turn. At least. It could be up to more with the Quirion. 31 for Mr. Jim. Play a lane and pass it. This is a game that Elves is happy to play, and they actually play this game pretty well against a number of decks. Like, if you don't get off to a blistering start and they have a couple of Well-Wishers, and this is why I'm resistant of cutting Well-Wishers from the list. This is the Elf list that was played in the Gauntlet as well. I mean, sometimes Well-Wisher just puts it away. Yeah, so Jim's up to 65 now. And we're attacking here for a couple, but nothing major. 85. Up. I hit an Electrickery on Jim. And this is where we are now. Jim's up to about 140. He's going to lead again, get some more free guys. Sorry, the Electrickery was cut. I lost the footage on there. That individual file was corrupted. But yeah, that's what happened. I drew my out. I had the Electrickery in my hand, and I drew a Utopia Sprawl. So you'll see the Utopia Sprawl in the leftmost forest on my battlefield, and all of his X1s in the graveyard. But now we're looking at 12-12 on his side of the battlefield, a 7-7 on his side of the battlefield, and it's very clogged with just a bunch of blocking jerks. That's what they are. And I'm not afraid to say it, Yeah, so I have a big Boggle here. Ain't big enough though. So I'm at 19. Jim's at 130. Okay. Yeah. He's used up almost all my dice now for his Elvish Vanguards, and he's going to go in for lethal. He's got to go in for lethal, right? Oh, no. Oh, another Well-Wisher, of course. Now, there you go. That's the icing on the cake. Well, yeah, that was a tough match. I think we try to block out of it. I don't think we can make it out, but it's a good match. Thanks for watching. See you next time.